this is what comes up when you go into Grit. We have a view only mode that you can just pick a county and you can view the data within Grit, but you can't do any editing or anything. So where you're going to be going in here is into the editor. And this is where we log in with our username and password, or your username and password. I had sent a previous email that explained that we have made some changes to the password process, the login process. Maybe some of you haven't gotten that, but that email went to whoever was the primary user for the county. So that was typically the county engineer was listed as that person, or a maintenance superintendent, sometimes auditors. Sometimes you had a general county highway shop email address in there. So that went out to all of you. And that's what you would log into this with. There was one set password. And so they would have to share that with you to be able to log in. Well, since then, we've made these buttons functional at the bottom here. So if you put in your email address, if you are that primary user and you forgot the password, you would just hit forgot password and you get emailed a temporary password that you can log in and reset that password for yourself. So you no longer have to call us if you forgot the password. The other function that was added was an add user button. And when you click on that, that primary user would just put in his email address and the password, and then click next, and then they can add additional users from the county. And so we've started doing some of this. So some of the counties, you have your assigned people, and they're probably here on this meeting, where your maintenance superintendent or whoever that primary is added you as a user, and you got an email to ask you to log into Grit. So that then you can always log in. If you ever forgot your password, you just click on that, put your email address in, click on that, and you can reset it. So it's a more secure system and everybody can log in. So so I'm going to log in here and get started going through the tool. I've already logged in, so I'm just going to jump over to that. I happen to get a special login that gives me access to all the counties. When you log in, you're just going to see this layers button, and then you wouldn't see the list of counties here. So I'm going to start. I can pick on any county, but I'm just going to start with Burke since it's the first one on the list here. So this is how it comes up. Google Maps is, and then your county, and then all you have to do is come up here and pick a layer. This is where we have, the previous ones we talked about: construction history, owner, minor structures, and construction planning. And then there's a signs layer. Not every county will have a signs layer on there, only the ones that are registered and have sign data in. Then we can turn it on whether the county has access to that or not. And when your primary user adds a user, he can, there's a checkbox so he can check which layers they can edit. So if you're the sign guy and that's all you do, you'll only have access to the sign. So then there's a few other tools here. In the blue up here, I'm not going to go through all of these. There's some reports for other things, and then you can turn on background layers. So like if you want to see your pavement age, your construction history, planning data, where your 5-year plan is, all of these, you can turn them on. And I just turn one on just so you can see what that does. So these are all the paved roads and the pavement age in Burke County. So I'm going to just leave it off for right now. And we're going to go in and we're going to select signs as the layer we want to edit. And this pulls up Burke County, and then all these pins on here are all the signs that we converted over from AquaSign. And there's a little legend up here. The black are regulatory signs, warning signs are orange, stop signs red, and then all the other signs are green. There is a high priority color on here or some text, and I actually don't see any for Burke County right at the moment. Maybe I'll check another county. But if you remember from AquaSign, there was a little checkbox for a high priority sign that you could mark, meaning it was knocked down or was needed some attention right away. So those will show up here in a, with a HP on it and in pink color. So that's the buttons, and then basically you're going to go in and either add a new sign or select a sign from the map. And like I said before, this is Google Maps, so all the things are the same. And here you can just hold your mouse down to pan around. There's a wheel mouse, you can zoom in, or you can use these zoom in tools down here. So I'm just going to zoom in a little ways here so we can see individual signs, and then I can turn on the satellite if I want. So now we got a satellite image, and again, it's from Google Maps. So however up to date that is, that's what you can see. And then, like I said, you can add a new sign if you want, or select a pin from the map. And I'm just gonna pop around here a little bit, picking a few before we actually get into the data on them. So there, I picked this one. This is a curved right sign, and we can look at the photo of it. I can pick a different one. And so I can kind of just pop through all these, looking at the photos if I want. Chevrons, or, whatever button I'm on here, it'll stay on that as I pick different signs. So I'm going to go back to this one, this particular sign, and then go through each of the, you can see each of the, we have several tabs on it for different data items. So the first one is location, and that's where the GPS coordinate goes in. So we imported all of them from AquaSign, but from now on, they'll come right from Google Maps here. When you enter in a sign, it'll capture that position in here. There's a local panel number. If you happen to have your own numbering system or things, we did capture that, the sign number that you had on it, and some notes about the location if you had them in there, or if you want to enter them in. Then every now and then on these tabs, there's a little triangle, which means there's more data underneath it. It's probably maybe not that important, so it's kind of in this little accordion. So when you click on that, it pops down and you can add some more information. So location details, not really required for anything because we go by the GPS coordinates. It's all in the map already. So, but some counties did have maybe a road name in. This is Burke County 17, so that's what they had put in there. And you can fill in these other things or just leave them blank. They're not really necessary, but there was a field for side of the road. So this is on the south side of the road, and there was one for offset from edge line. So if you want to enter those things in, you can. You don't have to. And really about everything within this all data is for you, the county, and we don't really need, I mean, there's a few data items that we want to have so we can do research and work with those signs and work with safety information and things like that. But most of it is going to be just up to you whether you want to keep track of it or not. So that was location. The next one is probably the main tab that we have, and this is for the panel information. You can see on this sign right here, we have actually two panels on one support on one location. So we captured the data from AquaSign. AquaSign, I don't think you had that option. I think you just put a whole separate sign in there for each panel. But if we had two panels and they were right at the same coordinate, we put them into one sign basically at one location. So then the main one is going to be your primary sign. So there's two signs here. There's a primary one and then a sign 2. The sign 2 is the advisory speed plaque, and then primary is the curve rate sign. When we get into adding a sign, well, I'm just going to show you that right now. I'll go into edit mode. So anytime you want to edit the data on any of these, there's a green button down here called edit, and you just select that. And now you're in edit mode. You can either enter a new sign. You can delete this one if you want, this panel. You can enter a new panel. So if you hang a load restriction sign off of it, you could add a new panel on there and put that in on this particular sign. And then, so under sign type, these are drop-down values that you can search on. So I can, if I go back and I just know this is a W sign, it gives me all the W's. If it's a W1, it gives me all those. And we'll get into this more when we enter in a new sign, but just wanted to show you that. And same for description. So you can, you can start typing on stop, and it gives you all the descriptions of stop signs. And then you just pick the one you have. So, and then they're tied to each other. So you don't have to know the sign type number, all the MUTCD numbers, you don't have to know that. You can just put in the description, and then when you pick it, it'll automatically put in the right one. So I pick stop, so it puts in R1-1. So that's all automatic. And then the next one down is a message. So on the, if you look at the photo, we'll get to that in a minute, you can see there's a speed plaque on here. Well, in AquaSign or really nowhere else, there was nowhere to capture that. So you don't know what it is, if it's 25, 35, 45, whatever that is. So one of the things we did, we wrote some image capture tools to be able to read these images of what you took, of these photos that you took, and put that text in this message thing. So it put in 35 miles per hour. So now you know that at this stop sign that there is a speed plaque on it. Well, not stop sign, curve sign. And that that has 35 miles per hour on it. So we can use this data if we want to know, if a curve's not signed low enough or whatever, we can search for all the 35 mile per hour signs. Now, that recognizing the text isn't always completely accurate. So sometimes it'll have, different letters in here that don't match what's on the sign, depending on the quality of the photo. So you will want to go in and edit these if they're not right, and put in the right message that goes along with the sign. And that's not on every sign. It's only on the ones that have, some number on them, or like a highway sign or others like that. So then we got a last installed replace date. And this is one of those that you really should go through and make sure there's a value in here for all of these. A lot of the cases we do have them in here. I'll discard the changes I made there. But as I was going through some counties, sometimes it's not in here. You don't see a last installed or last replaced date. But this is how we get our age of the sign, and that goes to tell you maybe when it needs to be replaced. Maybe you want to see all the signs that are 10 years and older. That's got to get calculated from this field. So if you are going to be going through your data, you might want to just make sure that one's filled in. The data we did get from AquaSign, some counties would put in the original installation date. most of them would put in whenever it was last replaced. So we weren't quite sure what we were getting, but we took what we had. So then of course we have a facing direction. I'm gonna open that up. So that's just a matter of picking north, south, east, west, or the quarter turns on that. Material. These are what came from the values that were in AquaSign. So it transferred most of them over. But if we end up with some new options here, we can add those in. But right now, this is what you have to pick from the drop-down list. You can put in your height, your width. Barcode was in AquaSign. I don't think I saw anybody that was using that, but there is a spot to at least put in the barcode number. I'm not sure how that's even done, but we have a field for there, and just in case you have it. And then the expired date. There was a warranty. There was a date field in AquaSign where you might put in add 20 years to 10, 15, whatever, and put that date in here. So we captured that. Most counties didn't have anything in there for that. So that's it for the panels. I mean, you can add in here is up to 5 panels, I think, on one sign, on one location. And then you just manage them from here. So then supports, like I said, there's only one support at that location. Might have multiple panels on it, but you can pick whether it's Telspar, if it's breakaway, number of supports, and then support length, support post size in inches. If it's whatever gauge your square tube is or whatever, you can put that in here. And then the installed date. And this is where we didn't really have that date. It was in some of the history records in AquaSign, but so that's going to probably be blank. Most people didn't know it anyway, because it might have been 20 years ago. Who knows what it would be? So, but if you want to, if you're putting in a sign today, you can go ahead and put that today's date in there. And then we get over to condition. And here again, we have this is by panel, so you can rate a condition on every panel that's on that one post. Or you can just use the primary one and put it in for that. You don't have to rate every sign on there. They're probably all the same anyway, so you can just do the primary one. But the option is there to do either. So priority, again, here's these little triangles with a drop down. So you have priority, like I said before, in AquaSign, there was a high priority checkbox, and some people were using it and others maybe not so much. A lot of the data had at least some marked as high priority. So this is where you go in and mark it as high priority and put in a date. Dates, it just pops up in a calendar, so you can just grab today's date or whatever you want to put in there. And then high priority, just check that box, and then you can put in a comment. Again, we pulled the comments from AquaSign, so this is just a comment that was in a field, so it's not necessarily tied to this being a high priority. And then if you had some check boxes in AquaSign too, like if this is a high priority, it's likely due to being knocked down, missing condition, or other. So you can check whatever that is and turn it on. And then when you go out, fix it or whatever, then you would come in and just uncheck the high priority mark on it. So that's priority. I'm going to close that back up. And then the next one down was visual inspection. And it's kind of new the way we had it implemented, but in AquaSign, I think you had an ABC value that you would put on them. So we use that to come up with the initial panel condition rating. So this is just a visual inspection. You're driving by, or you're going and driving by a whole entire road, whatever. You can come in here. You again pick the date, and then pick from our list of 5 values. So you have failed, poor, fair, good, and new. All we had was in AquaSign was ABC, so the A's were good, the B's were fair, and the C's were poor. So that's kind of the initial rating that we have on everything. And then if there were some, I don't think there were any comments on that, but you do have a comment field in here if you want to kind of say any more information about why it's poor or whatever, you can do that. And then there's also another title under here for support condition severity, so you can also rate your support. So if it's corrosion, all rusted out, you can check that and, call it poor or fair or failed. And then you have that, and you can put a comment about your supports also. And the last one here under visual is visual reflectivity severity. And we don't have any information on this really, but if you do go out and do a nighttime inspection or something, you can come in here, and again, it's the 5 ratings of failed, new or failed, or good, fair, poor, in between. And there's a comment on that where you can put something in on that. So yeah, that's more for the visual. And I know some counties had done some work with LTAB to do an LED light that shines during the daytime on the sign, and you can kind of get a handle on the reflectivity from that. So you can put that in here, the results from that. There is a section down here for retro reflectivity inspection meter. I think I saw one county that had some values in one of these. So somebody must have had a meter and did do some of their signs. So, but it's in here now. If you happen to have a meter, you can put in the date and then go through and put in the value that goes in here that comes from the meter. There's one for legend and then one for background. So that's it for condition. And this is for you. I mean, and I don't know your inspection schedules or whatever, but however you want to manage your signs, this is available for you to come in and get that rating on it. And then the last one in here is photo gallery. So you did have photos in AquaSign for almost all your signs. That was pretty impressive. So we were able to download all those to our servers, link them to the sign. So now you have a photo on every sign. Oops. And then when you go in here, if you want to add a photo, you can do that anytime. So each year, maybe, or every couple of years, maybe drive by or whatever, you want to just snap a picture and upload it here. You would do that from here. If you're on a mobile device, it lets you, this option is to take a picture or upload from your device. So you can actually use the camera on your, if you got a smartphone or a tablet that has a camera, you can just take a picture, put in a comment about it if you want, and then the date taken, you can always want to have that added in here. And then you'd save that comment and date. Or you can delete photos that are in here, or some of these do have 2 photos in here, and that's likely because there was one for each of these panels that are on here. So, but this is where you would manage those and update those photos. So that's all the tabs we have for the actual sign and panel information, support information. The next that's under the inventory button. The next button we had over here was an activity button. And this we had in the system intended to be that whenever you go out and say you're going to replace a sign or do some maintenance on it, you would come in here and you'd add a new record and you'd put in the date and you'd put in if it was a replacement, original installation, damage, you're fixing some damage, doing some maintenance on some damage, doing some maintenance, routine maintenance, scheduled inventory. Those are the options you can put on that. Really what we're mostly concerned with is just replacement and original installation. And then there's a reason type why this activity is happening. And that's where we kind of want to know if it's a knockdown, vandalism, accident, realignment, it's failed or expired. But this is nice to know this, that, you know, if you're having to go take care of vandalism every year, replace a sign, we'll be able to show that information to you in a dashboard for all your signs in the whole county. So that's kind of the main point of this activity tab, is to enter in when you're replacing or maintaining or fixing a sign. Now, when we imported from AquaSign had really every time you went into AquaSign and entered some data, it would put in a history, you know, an activity record. So there's 10 of them here. This is one of 10. You can go through them, but this tab is just showing the history of all those 10 records. And so when you entered it in on the iPad, I guess, according to Dave, that it didn't really give you a chance to put in what you were doing there, what the activity type was. So most of them all came through as just editing sign attributes. So, and then there really wasn't a reason either other than other. So we didn't get a lot in our import of data from AquaSign, but we did bring them in because on these dates, something was done in AquaSign. We just couldn't tell what was done. So you can delete these if you want, or just leave them. And then when you add a new one, say you go out there tomorrow and replace a sign, you just come in here, hit new, and enter in the date, the activity type, and that information. So, okay, so that's activity, and these are really the only two buttons that we have: inventory and activity. Let's see. So I'm gonna just cancel out of this since I did some editing. And then I'm gonna just quickly add a new sign, and I'm gonna add it out here in the middle of nowhere, just so I know where it is, so I can come back and delete it if it gets saved. This because we are working in production data right now for Burke County. So if I'm out here and I'm putting in a new sign and I just hit new, and then I just go through all the tabs, and it starts out with location. This sign location point, that's going to be your GPS coordinates. There's a little bubble here on the left that you just pick, and then it puts a crosshair in here. I don't know if you can see that real well. And then you just drag the map to wherever that crosshair is, wherever that sign would be. And the reason that's done, if you're on an iPad, you don't have to try to drag a button around with your finger over the top of it or anything. You just grab the map and move it wherever you want. I'll turn the satellite back on and I can zoom in here way in, and I just drag that crosshair over. It's likely a stop sign here, and I can drop that sign in there. So that automatically puts the coordinate in. Then I can put in, if I want to track a local number, you don't have to. You won't know what that is anyway. So you probably won't be doing that. If any notes about that location, and I am going to just say it's a test. And then location details, again, it's up to you if you want to have this just for some reference. If you see a printed out report or something that you would have at least the road name in, you could put the start road name in and the end road and then the station, which is the distance between those two roads to the sign. But that gets to be a lot of work to try to keep track of that. So then we're going to jump over to panel. So right now there's no panels on that sign location. So I'm going to just do a new sign. It's defaults to the primary. That's the one you want to put in first. And here's where I can either start typing in here on the sign type number, or I can go to the description and I can start typing. It's going to be a stop. And as I type the more words, now it's getting down to just showing stop signs. Stop here in red, whatever. But this is just a basic stop sign. So I'll select that and it puts in the R1-1, so you don't have to remember that number. There is no message on this sign. It's just a stop sign. Last installed replace date, and out there, well, whatever today is. And then facing direction, that one looks to me to be facing east. Material, probably type 5, height, width, I'm not going to put any of that in. Expiration date, I'm probably not going to put that in, but you might. So we can keep on going now over to the support information. So this is, maybe it's a Telspar, it's probably breakaway, and it's probably got, well, let's just say it has 2 supports. Support length you can put in, support post size, that's in inches, length is in feet. Again, we didn't have that data from AquaSign, so you'll have to start tracking that if you want. And install date, yeah, I want to put that in when I'm putting in new signs out there. And then condition, you know, obviously there won't be any priority. If you want, you could go ahead and put in that it's brand new, and comment if you want, but you don't have to do that either. And then anytime along the way you can hit save. I mean, it doesn't matter when you do. The one thing that happens when you hit save is you need to, oh no, you don't. You need to hit the edit button again if you want to continue editing on it. So I was at condition, I was done with that. Photo gallery, if I want to take a picture, I would just hit edit again, and then upload photo from device. Or like I said, if you're on a mobile device, you can just, it'll have the option to take a picture there right away with your device. So you'd hit that, take a picture and put in your comments, and then you're good with that sign, and you'd hit save. And then the last thing you want to do with this sign is, since you were out there and put in a sign, that's an activity, you know, that you were out there doing. So you're going to want to put in an entry. So you know, the date again is 4th, and your activity type is original installation, and you don't have to put anything in here for that since it's original installation, but, or actually you probably could put in that you're doing it because it's failed or expired. And then any comments that you want, and then hit save on that. I haven't been saving anything, so I'm not gonna do that in this case. So, but you hit save and that sign would then be in there. I'm gonna discard the changes just so, actually I did get that one in there. I must have hit save somewhere. So I'm gonna go in and edit this sign and hit the delete button on it. So Burke County doesn't have a sign sitting over in a different county. And that will go away when we refresh the map, so. Yeah. So then you just continue on along that road, whatever, adding any other signs. So that is pretty much, I think I've gone through everything in here. I think there was a couple of things I was going to mention. I mean, the data, like I said, the data that we converted for the most part look like it converted everything. You may find some that they have missed something, possibly where there was two panels on a location. Sometimes counties put their street signs on top. So like here's a yield sign and a street sign on top. But those are both here. There's primary up to, so there's the street name and then the primary. So some of the things you might see, maybe we didn't capture the message just right. So you might, like here it says 90 Ave HH yield. That's all it could recognize out of this because of that. So you might have to come in and add what you want in there. And then occasionally, I think when in an AquaSign, there may be some signs where you put two signs in, one for the street sign, one for the yield sign, but you had a little distance in the GPS coordinates, maybe just so it showed up on the map. I don't know why, but I did find a few that had maybe 5 feet between them. Those won't come across as one sign, they'll actually come across as two. So it'd be like if this one had a street sign on it, it doesn't, but it would come across as just one of one, primary of one. And then you'd have to come in here and add a new panel to it for the street sign. So that happens occasionally, but not very often. So, and like I said, we can, go to any of these counties that are in here. Go to the signs and edit the data. This Billings County here, you can see they did have some high priority signs marked in AquaSign. You can see they're showing up here in the pink. If I zoom in here and just pick one of them, you're going to probably want to go in and go through these, and it's probably that you just didn't, in AquaSign, you never turned the high priority off. And so you want to go in and see if this has been improved or what's the deal with it. So if I look at condition and priority, I can see it was put on in 2018, but there was no comment about it. So I don't know why it was put in, but it was never turned off. So you might want to go in and check all those out and just make sure that you want them still high priority or not. If I look at activity, you can see that, yeah, back in 2018, priority was turned on. And then, and also in 2018, same day, initial values were put in, and same day, some sign attributes are updated. So it's just never that, it was never turned off. And we do have an option in activity. If I go to edit, under sign activity type, there is a priority on and off. So if you still want to kind of know when you turned the priority on and when it was turned off, as far as history, then you would have to add a activity in here and put in priority on or priority off. But that's only if you want to see that in the history, because where you're going to actually change the priority is under the priority button here under condition. So I would just come in here and click this off. And put today's date in here if you want. But then that's off. You could put a comment in if you want to on that, so. I think that was all I wanted to cover, to make sure I covered the high priority options. And then I wanted to leave some time up for if there's any questions, if you want me to go and look at your particular county, or any other types of questions, just you can jump in now and just unmute your mic and let me know. Or any other comments that you might have. Anybody want to take a look at their county?
Yeah, Brad.
Yep.
Yeah, see, this is Jeff. The reason I had those priority was because they had bullet holes in them. I kind of echoing there.
Yeah, you're getting a whole bunch of static in here because of somebody else must have a mic open and a laptop or something in here. I guess if everybody else could mute your mics, and then maybe we'll hear you better.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah,
somebody in your office probably has a laptop running with the webinar on it. But if I think I made out, you said you had the high priority on in your county because just to note, I guess I didn't catch the end of that, what you were saying, Jeff.
I think he said, Brad, that they had bullet holes in them. Oh,
sure. So if I look at some of these, this high priority, was put on in 2018, and this is the sign. Obviously, it was replaced since 2018 or fixed, but then nobody went back into AquaSign and turned the priority off.
No.
So,
let's see. Can you hear me now? Yeah. The reason I did that is because that's actually a picture of the new sign that was put up.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, that's all right.
You could type it into the chat box, Jeff.
And really, whatever your reason, you can put it on whatever reason you want, and you can leave it on if you want. If you just want to have that noted as a place that frequently gets damaged or whatever, you can have that on here. This is for your use so that, when you come in here on Monday morning and take a look at all your signs, you can see which ones maybe need attention sooner than others. So you have that on here. So, but you can use it in any way you want. All right. Anybody else have any other questions or anything? I'm going to jump around to a couple. I did want to note all the counties that are in here, the AquaSign counties, and the data is ready to be edited now, except for Grand Forks and Griggs. So if you guys are on, when you log in, you won't see a signs layer button just yet. The reason for that is some of the data that came from AquaSign had some funny characters in it, and we had to eliminate those and reload those counties. And that probably won't be done until tomorrow. So by tomorrow sometime, both those counties should also be available. So let's take a look at, anybody else want to see their data? Ransom. yeah, there's been a lot of work in AquaSign with you guys and your counties and getting all this information in here. So it will really be good for you to be able to continue to maintain it and keep that up to date. It's a pretty valuable asset having all this information. So I don't know, did anybody ever show up from Becker County? Steve? I always like to pick on Becker County because that's where I am at, and I'm most familiar with those roads since I was county engineer there for 10 years or 12 years. But you watch this one, it takes a little bit longer on initially loading. And that's because Becker County has a lot of street signs, 10,000. I don't think they have them all in yet, but there's a lot in here, so it does spin a little bit. Once you're in, though, it doesn't really matter because it works the same no matter where you're at. So yeah, you can, and actually they don't have all of them with photos, so there are some that don't have photos yet in that county. But I know there is some here. These are the curves I drive every day, so I kind of know what's out here. So yeah. All right. Well, just give you a couple more, a minute or two, just to see if there's any last questions or comments from anybody. Just to get started, as a reminder, just go to the UGPTI homepage, or maybe you already have a link to the GRIT homepage. And I also sent that in the emails that I sent out earlier. So, all right. Kelly, did I miss anything I should mention, or I think we're good to go?
No, I think that was good. I'll just add that, to the counties, this is a good opportunity to document your signs, and it's important to have them recorded. If there's a crash, the first thing that attorneys dig into is where was the sign, how old was it, what was the reflectivity like. So it's a good way to cover the bases. And Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is free to the counties in North Dakota to use. So I think it's a good option and a good benefit to have.
Yeah, and well, right now with the initial loading and uploading of this, it's kind of falling under our need study work and some of the research that we're going to be doing with it. But that, I'm not saying that, there was a cost, for AquaSign, and at some point in the future, there may be a cost to cover our costs on maintaining all this data on our servers. So and it wouldn't, it's not going to be very much if there is at some point, but that is a possibility in the future. It would certainly be a lot less than whatever was being paid for AquaSign. So, well, and I did want to mention, for if you're talking to other counties and things, this grid layer is there, and it is available if you're entering in data directly in, like if you didn't have a sign inventory program and you wanted to start inventorying, you can use GRIT to go ahead and enter it in. But if you have another commercial software, Simple Signs or other signs commercial program that you're happy with and using, we encourage you to just continue using that. We're not going to want to encourage and take away. We're not in the commercial business. We're not selling sign software, so we don't really want to compete with the commercial vendors that are out there. So unless they come to us and just like AquaSign did, and they want to develop some conversion routine to convert the data over, then that's what we do. Or if you just quit using that commercial software and have some spreadsheets of data, we can look at maybe importing that. Or if you have your own spreadsheets or GIS with data, we can look at importing that. But we're not really encouraging anybody to switch from their, proven and probably working well for them anyway, commercial software that they might have for sign inventory. All right. Well, that is all I had, and I thank you all for attending, and reach out to us when you get into it if you got any questions. And like I said, this has all just been imported, and maybe you'll find a bug here and there. And certainly if you find something like that, let us know right away and we can get it fixed and rolled back out. So thanks everybody, and have a happy 2024.